Hey there, MennoNerds. This is Steve Kimes again. I really think it's time for us to seriously struggle with the Bible and our pacifist heritage. So, Greg Boyd just released a book called Crucifixion of the Warrior God, which tackles a really tough topic. That if we're serious about Jesus, about loving our enemies, about the way of the cross being the heart of the gospel, then what do we make of the portrait of God in the Old Testament, who seems pretty angry, violent, and at times kind of petty? The God of Deuteronomy demands genocide and the killing of women and children. The God of Numbers tells warriors to rape women and opens up the ground to swallow people who question Moses' leadership. The God of Samuel kills a man for trying to keep the Ark of the Covenant from falling. The God of Ezra tells men to divorce their wives in order to get racially pure ones. Sure, the God of compassion and forgiveness is in the Old Testament too, but that's not the only portrait of God that we see, and an argument can be made about which portrait is actually, we'll say, more common. Frankly, if we're serious about Jesus, then we have to take these portraits of God seriously too. It's no wonder that Marcion and the other early non-Orthodox Christians and students of the Bible, the Christian students of the Bible, considered the God of the Old Testament to be a different one than the God of Jesus, because they wanted to take the Bible seriously and they wanted to take Jesus seriously. But it's tough to keep a belief in the inspiration of Scripture and to see the Father of Jesus and the violent God of the Old Testament the same person. Now, you could read Greg Boyd's book, or listen to his interviews with Paul, or one of the other things, listen to his sermons, and you could just accept his answer. Or you could listen to, or you could just go ahead and give your answer now before you look into that. The thing is that he's done an amazing job and done a lot of thorough research, but I'm going to hear from you. I'm going to hear your perspective. What do you think is going on? Is God truly wrathful and is ready to ask us to kill as to love our enemies? Is the presentation of God in the Old Testament inaccurate in some way? Is the Old Testament inaccurate? And if so, what do we mean when we say that the whole Bible is inspired? Did God just change his mind between the Old Testament and the New Testament? Is violence something that God retains for himself, but he doesn't actually ask humans to do? Well, these are some options, and I know that there's a lot more, but I want to hear what you think. Now, at this point, I would usually give my own point of view, but I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to leave this introduction here, and then I'm going to make a separate presentation of my point of view, so that way you can give your point of view without myself or Greg Boyd or anybody else kind of giving your point of view, and then we can kind of have a discussion about it. I don't know if Ryan is going to let me do that, but that's going to be what I'm going to try to do. So I want to hear what it is that you think. What do you think, MennoNerds? How do we deal with the Old Testament? How do we deal with the different portrayals of God? Send me a blog entry and do it now. Okay, do it when you're able to. Okay, that's fine.